Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for education purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho 4. This case seems to be going from bad to worse. They are trying anything in the book to throw it on this man, which is unfair. Now they're trying to say that Koberger bought the balaclava mask so that he could go and do the quadruples. And he bought this in January 2022. But the unalivings happened at the end of the year, 11 months later. He went and bought a knife sheet, knife sharpener in March 2022 so that he could use it in November 2022. He didn't even know of the victims and the surviving roommates. This could all be coincidence. This is not actual evidence. I don't know why they keep on coming up with lame things, calling it breaking news. There's nothing breaking about this. Bring all this to the trial. Bring it in front of the jury and let the jury decide for themselves. Let's not forget, January 2022, the epidemic was high. We were scared for our lives. People did not know if they were going to survive the next minute. Everyone was trying to stay away from their own families and friends because we didn't want to bring the virus home to our families, our children, our elderly people, our loved ones. And then you have a young man who suffers of OCD, snow vision, special needs, and autism spectrum disorder. It is more a cognitive issue. I'm a CBT therapist and I know that. There's mild, moderate, severe. We are not his doctors, his psychiatrists or his therapists to know exactly what kind of therapy or what kind of medications he was under. Just the fact that somebody has OCD should tell you a lot. He must have been covering himself up properly because he didn't want the epidemic to reach him. And that was in 2022, January. It was still going on. It was still high. People weren't obeying the guidelines. So the virus was spreading. Don't you find it strange? I've said in over 2 years and 3 months now. How come DM did not mention that the Koberger has sharp blue eyes? That's the first thing you would have seen. Forget the bushy eyebrows. I can understand if you have dark brown eyes like me and you're in the dark, you may not see the person properly. They had the good vibes, lights on. And we don't know how much of DM, BF is witness statements are true. And I'll explain why. I want to know why Bethany Funk was taking photos. Was she taking photos of the deceased victims? Trigger warning. Was she taking pictures of herself? Was she taking selfies? Was she taking pictures of DM? What were they taking pictures of? Or was she taking pictures of the suspects that they possibly let in? Or they let the door open for? I've always said it was an inside job. And I've always said that I won't be surprised if Koberger's involved. I'm one YouTube creator who is 50-50 in this case. I've always said anything is possible. Koberger could have been involved. Koberger could have been framed. The knife sheath could have been planted. And then, thank God, 3 weeks ago, the transcript came out. Although I know that the transcript of the 911 call wasn't in full context, still, it's easy to see that these two surviving roommates were taking photos. They were using apps like TikTok, Instagram, Yik Yak, that's an anonymous app. It's a bullying app that was cancelled in 2017. It was terminated for a while. The bullying is so bad in that app. Let's not forget, 4chan was used by Anonymous, and he told us that the Davids were involved. So these students were using apps, bullying apps, sending viral pictures to each other, and they were watching this crime. At the grub truck, I've exposed them all. They're carrying at the grub truck. They were watching crime scene pictures with Kaylee in the sitting position. I showed that before Steve G even opened his mouth and said that Kaylee was found in the sitting position. Koberger could have been there because he was called by the surviving roommates so that they could frame him, allegedly. Or he could have been the food delivery guy. We don't know. He could have been there because BF is selling, dealing with rugs. It shows that on a Venmos. And we know that Koberger is or has had a history in addiction, heroin. So he could have been buying from DMMBF, especially BF. It shows in the Venmos. You can go back to my channel. I've showed you all that many times. Now they're crucifying this young man because he was wearing a mask in COVID time. Koberger, his homework proves that he was so good in university. Now they've added this to the court documents. Crime scene scenario final. So this is a piece of homework that Koberger did back on 5th of May 2020, 2 years, almost 3 years before the unalivings. Look at how on point he is with his homework about a crime scene. To take notes, to make sure nobody trespasses the crime scene, to make sure that he calls his supervisor, to make sure that he seals off the crime scene or blocks it off, to make sure that he gathers the evidence correctly. If he's doing all this so well, why would he leave behind his knife sheet? Do they really think that he's playing catch me if he can? I don't think so. It's more like the students, the frats, the sororities, and the surviving roommates are playing catch me if you can. I've never said that Koberger is innocent or guilty, but I'm just saying give him a fair chance. This is scary. People will come up with your homework. It's like people coming up with my homework that I've done as a mental health counselor and accusing me of something. This is what he's supposed to do. This is the kind of homework he's supposed to do. Talk about crime scene, evidence and crime scene scenarios. What do they expect him to talk about? Paint? Like he's a painter? Or a medical report like he's a doctor? This doesn't make sense. They're throwing anything and everything they got at him. I would have understood if they said that he bought the knife and knife sheet 2-3 months before, or 2-3 weeks before the crimes. I would have understood if they said that he bought the mask 2-3 months before the crime scene, or 2-3 days before the crime scene. Are they trying to convince us of something that he bought 11 months before the crimes? I think they're keeping on coming with some rubbish breaking news so that we can try and forget what we've seen and heard about the surviving roommates. Pay attention to this nonsense. Court documents, crime scene scenario final, detailing how an investigating officer will process a scene of a deceased white female. Basically what he did in his homework in 2020. That's when he was in Pennsylvania. I'm sure in DeSales University. He explained how he would keep the crime scene blocked off so that he can call his supervisor, that he can do things correctly by the book. And obviously he has to explain if it is a black female, a black male, a white female, a Mexican, a European, whatsoever. You do have to give a description of the person. So just because he used a 35-year-old white Caucasian female, are they trying to link this to Kaylee, Maddie, and Xana? It wouldn't make sense. Because there's a big age gap between the female he was describing. But yet again, they want to make him seem like he is 110% guilty. Of what? Of a homework? Of a knife and knife sheet that he bought 10 months before? 9 months before? The unalivings? A balaclava that he bought in Pittsburgh in January 2022? He didn't even know the students. He didn't even know the victims. He didn't know them when he was in the East Coast, and he did not know them when he was in the West Coast. DM said she saw a man with bushy eyebrows. But she would have said, because everyone who sees Kohlberger says that he has these eyes that stare right into your soul. How come DM didn't explain that? DM, are you sure you didn't see a white ski mask? These were the pictures Jack D was watching. Sorry, not Jack D. Saeed S was watching at the Banfield. And he was watching Kaylee at the sitting position. I think DM gave this a black mask instead of a white ski mask on purpose. Wonder if it was hoodie guy, allegedly. He had on a white hoodie. All he would have to do is wear a canine mask. Like I said, it was the epidemics that time. I made a clip of this picture a while back. It's allegedly DM. When 911 was called. The police are escorting her out, and I do believe it is DM. I've seen her with those plaits, and I've seen her with a shirt like that. These people were on Instagram, Yik Yak, TikTok, texting friends, taking photos, BFs taking photos. The parents were calling them, texting them, they were calling back, and they took 8 to 9 hours to call the police. And they changed the timelines on purpose, in my opinion. They need to stop breaking news that doesn't exist. News that doesn't even make sense. Why don't they focus more on David Lodge and his buddies that are carrying machetes? Half of the people at the grub truck were carrying, and they're ignoring that. Why aren't they breaking such kind of news? Like I said, Jack Schwarter, hoodie guy, had on a white hoodie. All he had to have done was take off his black cap and wear a K9 mask. That would have been it. What is he carrying in his jacket? Why aren't they breaking that news? Trigger warning. I've shown you all this picture. Jovito is watching these photos, which I've always exposed from the very beginning. It looks like Ethan and Zana. It's red liquid. I hate to say that. But pay attention to, although it's blurry, there are a couple of people there. It's more than one person. That's why I never believe that one person did this unalivings. Some people may say it's blurry, but we can still see. We can still see clearly. Why don't they talk about this guy? Why is he wearing glasses? Did someone punch him in the eyes? Allegedly. He has on one glove. Why aren't they talking about him? This was from 2:55 a.m. in the morning. You can see that light. It's a car, light flashing from 1122 Kings Road. Then we see the black truck driving at exactly 3 a.m. across Banfield, or through Banfield, I mean. Why did they change the timelines is my question. Now they're trying to throw anything on Kohlberger. From his selfie, just because he took a selfie with thumbs up, he could have been having a nice morning.